Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be digging into something that might seem kind of, I don't know, maybe not the most exciting thing at first glance. Drum waste disposal.
Yeah, not exactly a topic that usually gets the heart racing.
Right. But stick with us because trust me, we're about to uncover a world that's actually pretty fascinating. We're going to be talking about sustainability and innovation. And get this, we're going to see how some businesses are taking something that's basically a necessity, like dealing with waste, and turning it into something actual kind of positive.
I love it when we find those silver linings.
Me too. So the company we're going to be focusing on today is called Green Flow Solutions. Ever heard of them?
I gotta be honest, I hadn't. I mean, their tagline is, what is it? Efficient drum waste management solutions? Accurate for sure, but not exactly grabbing headlines.
Yeah, you got that right. Not exactly the most compelling tagline I've ever heard. But here's the thing. I was poking around their website and I stumbled across something pretty interesting. They've got this one tree planted partnership going on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they actually plant a tree for every single service they provide, and suddenly drum disposal had my full attention.
Now that's how you grab someone's attention. And honestly, it's a really smart move from a business standpoint, too.
Mm-hmm.
More and more people want to see companies put their money where their mouth is when it comes to the environment, right?
Absolutely. Actions speak louder than words. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back for a second. Why is this whole drum disposal thing even a big deal? Like, why can't businesses just chuck those drums out back with the rest of the trash? What makes this kind of waste so different?
Okay, so picture this. A lot of times, those drums, they're used to store, like, heavy industrial byproducts. We're
Right.
talking solvents, lubricants, leftover paint, you name it, even chemical byproducts. Imagine a drum just full of, say, toluene.
Toluene.
Yeah, it's using a bunch of stuff, paints, adhesives, and it's super flammable. Now you see why we can't just toss those in a landfill. I mean, first of all, mishandling something like that, that's an environmental disaster waiting to happen. Not to mention a huge safety hazard for anyone nearby.
Okay, that makes sense. But it's not just about the obvious dangers, is it? I noticed GreenFlow keeps mentioning this compliance thing on their website. What's that all about?
Ah, yes, compliance. That's a big one in the waste management world. Basically, it means following this kind of like huge web of regulations. You get your federal regulations, your state regulations, sometimes even local ones, all dictating how these materials have got to be handled every step of the way.
Every step.
Oh, yeah. We're talking from the moment they're stored, how they're labeled, how they're transported, all the way to the final disposal. And these regulations are there for a reason, believe me.
I bet.
There was this case a few years back. A company got slapped with a massive fine because they messed up the labeling on some drums full of waste. Ended up contaminating a whole recycling facility.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the cost of the cleanup, the legal battles, astronomical. So yeah, these regulations are in place to protect, well, everyone, really. And companies like GreenFlow, they're like the experts in navigating this whole regulatory maze.
So they're like waste whisperers, making sure everything ends up where it's supposed to without any, explosions or legal nightmares.
Uh-huh. That's one way to put it.
So, okay, they've got these potentially hazardous materials, this maze of regulations to navigate. What does GreenFlow actually do with it all? Like, what's their process?
Well, the first thing they do is what they call an initial assessment. They send a team of specialists straight to the client's facility, and these guys, they get down and dirty, literally, analyzing the contents of the drums, figuring out exactly what they're dealing with, like waste detectives.
Wow, so it's way more in depth than I ever would have thought. Do they have like a one-size-fits-all solution for everything after that?
Nope, not at all. And that's what's so cool about GreenFlow's approach. They treat every single situation as unique. So they factor in the specific types of waste, the volume, where the client's located, and of course, all those regulations we were talking about to come up with a totally customized disposal plan.
It's like a waste management puzzle. And they've got to figure out the best way to solve it safely, responsibly, and of course, legally.
You got it. And this is actually where their commitment to compliance really shines. GreenFlow stresses secure collection and transportation of the waste. Like, they're super strict about following those protocols to the letter, making sure nothing goes astray, literally. They even offer real-time tracking so clients know exactly where their waste is every step of the way.
Wow, talk about thorough. Okay, so they've collected the waste, it's on the move, then what? Where does it all go?
Well, that all depends on the type of waste we're talking about. GreenFlow, they've got these partnerships with various treatment and disposal facilities all over the country, and each one specializes in handling different types of materials. So some of the waste might be incinerated under super controlled conditions, some might get neutralized or treated, and believe it or not, some of it might even be recycled or repurposed.
So it's not just about throwing things away, but actually finding the most responsible and even innovative solutions for every single type of waste.
Exactly. And you know what? This actually ties into a much bigger shift we're seeing on a global scale. A shift, well, towards a circular economy. It's kind of become a hot topic lately, this whole idea. Basically, it's about moving away from that, traditional linear model we're all used to, the whole take, make, dispose thing.
Right, right.
And instead, it's about trying to keep resources in use for as long as possible.
So less waste, more reuse, kind of like closing the loop, right?
Exactly. And that's where companies like GreenFlow, they come in. They're not just taking waste and, making it disappear. They're actually trying to manage it responsibly. So minimizing the environmental impact and even, get this, exploring ways to actually recover resources from the waste.
Wow.
Yeah, they're a big part of this whole global shift towards a more sustainable future.
It's making me think about that one tree planted thing we were talking about earlier. It's such a cool visual, right? I mean, we're talking about waste disposal here, not exactly the greenest image, but they're out there planting trees. But I gotta ask, so many companies do these sorts of initiatives these days. How much of it is just for marketing? Is there actual substance to it, or is it just like clever greenwashing?
That's the question, isn't it? It's definitely clever, I'll give them that. But I actually think there's some real substance to it, too. I mean, first of all, it shows they're willing to put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
Like anyone can say they're eco-friendly, but planting trees, that's real, tangible action.
It's a way to actually see their impact, right? Like they're not all talk.
Exactly. But it's also a smart business move. Let's face it, waste disposal, it's not exactly the sexiest industry,
No, not really.
but by connecting themselves to something positive, like reforestation, they set themselves apart.
They stand out.
Yeah. And they appeal to those environmentally conscious clients, which, let's be real, there's more and more of them every day.
That's true. Makes you think about how important these values are becoming in business. Do you think companies like GreenFlow, are they seeing real benefits from this commitment to sustainability?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, study after study has shown that consumers, especially younger generations, they're willing to pay more, sometimes even a lot more, for products and services from companies that have a good track record when it comes to, the environment, social responsibility, that kind of thing. It's not just about price anymore.
It's about values.
Exactly. And companies that understand that align themselves with those values, they're the ones who are really succeeding.
It's like a win-win for everyone, right? GreenFlow gets to show their commitment to sustainability, they attract new clients, and they contribute to a good cause all at the same time.
Precisely. And here's the really cool part. It actually creates this, positive feedback loop. Because the more business GreenFlow does, well, the more trees they plant. Their success is directly tied to their positive environmental impact.
Wow, that's really amazing. It really makes you think about how interconnected everything is, doesn't it? Like, we started with this, I don't know, kind of niche topic, drum waste disposal, and now we're talking about huge global shifts in sustainability, consumer values, even like the psychology of marketing.
That's what I love about these deep dives. There's always something more beneath the surface. These connections, these insights, just waiting for us to discover them.
Speaking of insights, we've covered a lot of ground here. What are some key takeaways you hope our listeners are walking away with today?
Well, for me, it's definitely that sustainability. It's not just, a buzzword. It's not just some marketing trend companies are trying to cash in on.
Well, it's bigger than that. It's like a fundamental shift in how we need to think about business, about consumption, about our impact on the planet. Exactly. And I think we also uncovered just how much complexity there is behind things we usually don't even think twice about. I'm telling you, I will never look at a drum the same way again.
Yeah.
There's a whole story there, starting with like the materials that go into making it, the stuff that's stored inside, all the way to, like you said, the whole process of getting rid of it responsibly.
It's like this little drum, it highlights how interconnected everything really is.
Yeah.
The choices we make, even the little ones, they all have these ripple effects.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that we're all part of this bigger system. And, one of the things I really loved about this deep dive is that it shows how businesses, they can actually make a real difference. I mean,
Yeah.
GreenFlow, they could have easily just taken the easy way out, just focused on, profits, bottom line, that kind of thing.
Right.
But they didn't. They went above and beyond, and they're proving that profit and purpose, they can actually go hand in hand. This whole Embracing innovation, transparency, being committed to something bigger than themselves, that's pretty inspiring.
Definitely. It's awesome to see a company, especially one in an industry that, let's face it, isn't exactly known for being, the greenest, step up and lead the way like that.
It gives you hope, right? Like real change is possible.
Big time.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the surprisingly fascinating world of drum waste disposal, who knew, right? I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. We've been talking about all the waste that industries produce. But what about the waste that we create in our own lives every single day? Every time we buy something, eat something, even the way we get around.
It's easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer scale of it all. But I think the most important thing to remember is that even small changes, if enough people make them, they can add up to a huge difference.
Exactly. So here's my challenge to everyone listening. What's one small change you can make today to lighten your impact? Can you choose a reusable container instead of, I don't know, a plastic bag? Can you buy from a local business that you know has strong sustainability values? Or even just like take some time to learn more about where the products you use actually come from, their whole life cycle.
Every little bit makes a difference, that's for sure. And you never know, you might just inspire someone else to make a change too.
Absolutely. Well, deep divers, thanks for coming along on this journey with us. We went from waste to, wow, that's actually really interesting, and hopefully to a place where you feel like you can actually make a difference. Keep those brains curious, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.